So you're with like me in this beautiful sunny Florida, enjoying our great weather, huh?
Oh man, this is why we live in Florida, for the weather that we're having right now in these last couple of months. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I joked about it. I said, when did I miss where we could just open up the windows, and let the cold air come in? They said, yeah, you missed that month. Um,
Yeah.
just
It goes by really quickly.
yeah, real quick. So, all right, Scott. So now you have a unique way of using Luminar. We mentioned this before. At Skylum, our goal isn't to force people to rechange their style of their workflow, but to enhance what you already do. So we can use it as a standalone program, as a single image editor, or as a Lightroom and Photoshop plugin. And people like yourself, who's been experienced with Photoshop almost your whole life, to have you switch completely doesn't make sense. So you use tools, your favorite tools, to get the job done.
Right.
So right now, how are you using? You're using this at
I'm using it as a plugin, and essentially what it is I do my production type stuff mostly in Lightroom. So I'm getting my exposure right and things like that. So I really think of Luminar as a finishing tool. So either I want to do something production wise. So like I might want to do a sky replacement, and the sky replacement tool is just ridiculous. It's, I mean, everybody already knows that. I'm not like telling you something you don't know. It's really, really incredible. I might want to add sun rays. I might want to just, now I'm a very preset-y guy. I don't need to mess with a whole bunch of sliders. I mean, I do sometimes, but I prefer it just to be able to go and look at different presets, because sometimes I don't know what I'm looking for until I see it. And I tell my wife a lot that with furniture. She's like, what kind of couch do you want? I don't know. But if I see it, I'll go, oh, that's the couch. But if you ask me to envision the couch, I have a hard time with it. I'm the same way with sometimes effects. There are times where I know exactly what I want, but I would say a lot of the times I'm going to click on a lot of different presets, and I'm all of a sudden go, ooh, now that's the one I want. And I use a lot of the presets in Luminar for that. And I think that's some of the strength of the templates in AI as well, is that, and I like the way AI kind of goes, okay, you're doing a landscape. You probably want these, right? You probably want this set, or maybe this set. And so, and again, I'm likely to just try the presets, just hover my cursor over them, take a look and see. And a lot of times you can't tell by the name, it's like Sunny Silver. So things like that, the names, you have to look at them, but that's okay. We're visual people. We don't mind looking at stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at mostly. I'm looking at the the preset. When I find what I want, I click on it, and usually, I hate to say it, that's the end of that. I don't go in there and mess. Now with the sun rays and stuff, sometimes I do. That's the one I mess with the most, only because I want it to look natural. And moving the sliders, I go, ooh, I want 11 rays. No, I want 12. But I'm
It's
not
funny you're saying that, Scott. It's that guilt trip photographers have. They do the one click, and you're like, oh God. And I remember this in a conference you did, oh my God, years ago, where you were showing how to do text in Photoshop. You said, so what do we do? Click, I'm done. So here's an ethical question. How much do we charge our client? Do we charge
remember
1 minute? That 1 minute that I just spent years developing, now click, I'm done.
Yeah.
What do I do?
So what do we charge for a minute?
So I joke with that too. People
invoice 1 minute.
They use the template, they're all excited about it. We're done, then they're like, ah. So if you have template guilt, go in, move a couple of sliders around,
and then reset it. Then click the preset again so it goes back. But at least you felt like I did something.
Yeah, that was a 2-click one. Click. So, all right, do you have anything for us?
Do I have anything for you?
Yep. What would you like to show us?
I don't really have anything for you. I didn't realize I was going to have something for you, but I can show you some stuff if you want to see. I mean, I can show you some AI stuff.
Perfect. We would love that.
I'm sure everybody's been showing AI all day, right? So I'm not going to show anything that's going to blow anybody's mind.
It's in the title. No. But the neat thing is, people love to see each other's different workflow. And you and I are very similar on that. Like you said, we're we love presets and templates.
I do.
So if you guys would you like me to do a quick tip on one of our downloads while you open up an image, Scott? I can keep
Yeah, I
that
have an
up.
image ready.
Oh, you do? Perfect. Then I'll get out of your way. You were just pulling Vanelli's leg.
No,
You mean
no,
I'm supposed to have a computer?
No, I didn't realize, but I had an image there just in case. And, now that he's asked, I've got one. Well, let me hit. Now, I will say this. I'm much better at all Luminar products than I am Zoom. Zoom, I'm not very good at. So when I hit share screen, there's a 50-50 chance that something is going to go wrong. Oh, I think it's okay. Let's see. See if my screen is shared correctly.
There you go.
It worked. You're in Lightroom.
All right, because every once in a while, you know what it does to me, Rich? It'll take a panel. It'll just show like one panel.
Did you share the whole desktop? Just making sure you shared the whole desktop when you shared.
Yeah, I don't know what I just shared, Rich.
Okay, stop sharing and share the whole desktop, because when you open up Luminar, I don't want it to not show Luminar. So just click the stop sharing button.
Okay.
And when you click share screen, choose the desktop option, which should be the first one in the upper left corner.
And there I go. Of course, mine looks
now
like...
we're seeing everything. There we go.
All right, now, right, let's go. So this is the raw image out of the camera that you see right here, which is these are buildings. So this is taken in the La Défense area of Paris, which is, it doesn't seem like Paris, right? But there's a whole section of Paris. It's technically just outside Paris, but you can see it from everywhere in Paris. It is, I guess it's technically a suburb, but I mean, it's a 10-minute, ride on the subway. It's right there. Anyway, it is this whole area of Paris, all these tall buildings, and I never had been there. I always seen it. Like you're on the Eiffel Tower, and you're like, what are all those modern buildings over there? That's where it's at. And so let me bop into, I'm going to use AI here. But no, I do use Luminar 4 a lot. But let's hit AI here because it's AI day. And let's see if it appears. And I did my zoom right. Hey, you know what's cool?
It did. So what's happening there, so everyone understands, is that when you run a plugin in Lightroom, Lightroom has to generate a TIFF in the background, and then it hands that off, and that get opens. Wow, I like timed that tap dance perfect.
Man, you did. Well done. All right, so this is it's recommending Big City Lights, and it's also recommending this other one, Urban Style. Oh, there's a third one, Overcast. So, and that's not, you don't recommend Overcast on a bright sunny day, but but you know what? Here's the thing, and I kind of said this: don't really go by these names. I mean, yeah, it does give you Overcast, but I've used this on other things, and it still looks good. So I would tell people, don't let the names dictate what you do, because you could, now I wouldn't try portrait stuff on here, but other than that, let's try the Big City collection. Let's try, I'm just looking at I want to try Electric City and see what that does. All right, it has a very pink overtone. Street Theater, that one's a whole lot better right there, by the way. And you got the little amount slider down here. City Thrills. Oh, Frosty, I think that looks good. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Let's see. There's before and after. You can see right there. Not bad. I think I'm going to add Frosty to my favorites, by the way, while I'm here. want to create a favorite template. You just click the little heart right there. And I'm sure that you know this. I'm like probably the 10th person today. Hey, that doesn't look bad as a black and white, does it? It's a pretty nice black and white.
Scott, you're actually the first person I've seen teach favorites. So people have been showing templates, but you added favorites today, which is good.
Favorites are important because, I mean, you're going to find ones that you really like and that you're going to want to use again and again, but you won't always remember which template collection they were in. And then when you go back to the templates to the very main page, you can put their favorites are right there. Look, Frosty and Black and White Streets are right there at the header of the template. So I'm very excited that I got to be the first one to show favorites. I had my concerns. All right, let's try this urban style here. Like the way I put Old Town on look, I put Old Town on new buildings, but it still looks good. It actually has a nice warmth to it, like a warmth to the preset itself. Toronto, Melbourne, Abbey Street. Well, New York is the one that looks the worst. Now that's not right. Can we change? Can you double click and change the preset name? No. All right. So I'm thinking of these. I like Old Town and Melbourne. I actually like the Melbourne. Do you notice the Melbourne's got a little bit of a tint to it? like
Yeah,
almost a little bit
Melbourne's
of
very good.
magenta in there. But and then I mentioned, it mentioned overcast, which is probably, I mean, it recommended overcast probably because of that, and now it's actually recommended waterscapes. But let's go and just see. Now these are waterscapes, right? So these should look totally different. But even though it's not water, obviously, these are still cool. Oh, look at that one. Soft fix. All right, let's do before and after here. All right. That may be the best one of all, and it's under waterscape. So this is just helping me prove my point that don't necessarily just go by the name or the category. Now look at deep focus. It's just a little bit too much, right? Pull it off just, ooh, right there. All right, I'm saving that as a favorite. Boom. All right, deep focus. So now I go back to my templates, and there are my favorites. Frosty.
Now, you know what's neat, Scott, is if you were to save that as your template, you know when you dialed it back to 80%
Yep.
and you saved it,
Yep.
now when you go back to it, it'll start at 80% for you.
So that was deep focus. But is that
Yes, right.
80% there?
Yeah,
So 80% is the
I'm
top.
just guesstimating. So when you move it back and make just a slight change, it'll take all those settings that you just created,
Right.
and then when it applies it to the next person or to the next image, it'll look like it's at 100%, but the values are what you just set.
All right. So now can I show you, it's like some of my favorite stuff?
Yep.
All right. So not favorites, but some of the favorite techniques and stuff that I think it does particularly well. Now to do that, I'm gonna have to pull up another picture. So I'm gonna hit, let's quit that. And I'm gonna hit stop share. Hey, I'm like a Zoom guy. All right. Give me 1 second, and Vanelli, stall for me.
Hey, Rich, good to show that.
It won't take me but a minute. I know where the picture is.
Like an install something you wanted to show.
Where was the one I wanted to try? It was right here.
While he's queuing that up, folks, we do have some cool different resources, and we've been sharing in the chat pod, if you scroll through, some different LUTs and texture overlays. So make sure you click on some of those download links. We'll go over how to use those more a little bit later in the cast, so you guys can check that out.
All right, I'm back. That did not take long. Now I have done some little bit to this in Lightroom, and I'll show you what I've done, so it won't be so. Let's go to share my screen, but which share? I will do desktop 1. Thank you. All right. Now, so this is the original image. And if you look over here, you can see I have done a few things, but they are hidden behind my zoom thing. So I can't see what they are, but I probably opened up the shadows a little bit. I literally, all the little zoom pictures are hiding my panel. So back there is my basic panel, and I'm just guessing what I'm going to do. What did I do? All right. Yeah. I increased the shadows. That's it. Wow. It's pretty lame. All right. I'm better than that. I usually use more sliders, but what I did was opened up the shadows. Now, this is a fan sticking in from the side here that has to go in Photoshop. That's the edge of the
say, Scott, that meant that you shot it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That, Rich, that's what I meant to say. That's what I really did mean. All right. Now, so at this point, I would go in and pop in. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to AI. And it's going to analyze the image, and it's going to go, hey, that's a person. How about some landscape presets? No, it'll give you appropriate presets.
And Scott, while you did this handoff, there's actually 3 ways to hand off from Lightroom to Luminar, depending upon what workflow you want. So Scott handed off a TIFF file. You could actually, under the File, Plugin Extras menu, hand off your raw file directly if you want to pass all that raw data on. And sometimes the AI tools will actually, and this is obviously a matter of taste, so I won't question people's choice of where they develop raw, but you can develop and hand off the raw files and work with that in Luminar. Or, yeah, I know Scott's a Photoshop expert. You could also transfer the raw file to Photoshop as a smart object, and it keeps it raw in Photoshop. But then you could run Luminar non-destructively as a smart filter if you ever want to go back and re-edit it. So there's some different ways. We actually have 3 different Lightroom workflows, and I'll put that into the chat pod if you want to check those out.
Everything you said just gave me a headache. I now have a migraine.
Sorry.
All the different
Short
ways.
version, you have choices. Scott, you're a Photoshop guy. You're used to having 10 ways to do anything.
know.
How do you open Photoshop? Well, you could double click. You could use a voice command. You could have your assistant
I actually
do it.
never thought of the smart object Ray. That's what was clever. All right, so here we go. So here's the image that we're working on. I took this during a about a week or so ago. B&H had a depth of field conference, and I did a class called Just One Light. And so this is one of the shots taken during the class. And you see the light, that's it on the left. It needs to go. And the fan, they stopped making that fan too, which is a shame. So that was a great fan. And I mentioned it in the class because I've been using it for years. And one of the students came back and said, I went to their website. They don't make it anymore. Like their website, they're out of business. I'm like, I know it was the greatest fan. $99 is what it originally was. And then of course it became really popular. So they made it $129. But it was a fan for drummers, all right? It was called the Blow It fan, and it mounted on a cymbal stand. And I was in a music store, and I saw it there mounted to like a cymbal stand. And I thought, hey, if it'll mount to a cymbal stand, it'll mount to a light stand. So I bought it right there in the drum department and took it home to the studio, and it became like a favorite at the office. Like everybody wants to use that fan. It's very, very quiet. It's super quiet. It has 3 different speeds, and the way since it's up high like that, you don't have to get down on the floor to change the power or change the angle. You mount it on a light stand. The model can reach over, and there's literally a little lip where you can just grab it. There's a little lip that sticks up for you to be able to just position it. So if it's bothering the model or something, aiming right in their eyes, and they're wearing contacts or something, they can change it. Everybody loves it, and now they're out of business. So maybe, have you thought about Luminar fan? Because you could probably buy anyway, long story short, so up here it's recommending for this photo. So it thinks, well, maybe these experimental looks might look good, maybe the monochrome would look good, which is good for portraits, and then of course the influencer ones, which are good for Instagram. Now this is not really a lifestyle photo, but again, I'm going to tell you, don't just go by the name of these things and go, well, this isn't a lifestyle photo and I'm not an influencer, so I'm never going to click on what it recommended. I'm going to go ahead and start with influencer, and let's just see what we've got. We've got Nighthawks. That's not bad. Cozy Den. Yeah, these look very Instagram-y, don't they? All right. Ooh, I like that one. Evening Glow. That one looks particularly good. Here, listen. Look at Evening Glow. That's nice. I'm going to get to my favorite part in a minute, but I'm just talking about what it does at the very beginning. That one's nice. Light wash. Boom, that goes in my favorites. And Winter Refuge. Now this one looks like it's got a split toning effect. Looks like you've got blues in the shadows and some yellows in the highlights. So it's got some kind of a cross processing effect. And I'm going to grab that one as well. I would change the name. Can I change the name? You can't change the name, can you? Because I'm gonna see it. Winter Refuge.
You can. You could just save it. So go to the bottom right corner and click on the 3 dots in the lower right corner.
Save it as my own template.
Yes. So you can after you move a slider. So go to click edit. So edit that, and then now in the edit module, you can make any changes you want. And so now after you move one slider, you could save it as your own template.
Aha! See, I did not know that. I'm glad I came to this. All right. Anyway, so there you have that. But now let me just hide those real quick. Wait, didn't want to click on my Zoom thing. Do I have to save it now?
No.
Do I have no way to get out of this?
Yeah, you should go back to template. Well, yeah, right down there. You can save it.
Just hit save. And how do I make it go away? I want to get back to my templates.
Just click the templates button up top.
Yep.
Very top toolbar.
The templates.
Middle of the screen.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Too obvious. Too obvious, too easy. That's the problem.
It's that big button in the middle of the screen, right
I'm
about
used to Adobe products where there's like you have to hold 3 keys. Sorry. It's a bad habit. All right. So if you go down here, there's obviously landscape and Mother Nature. Down in portrait, So some of the portrait stuff I think is really, really nice in what they've done. Let's go to, we'll just start with easy portraits, and they've got some plugins and stuff, which are nice. I mean, the presets, not plugins, presets.
The black and white one I'm falling in love with too.
All right, which one is that? Because these are all color, but there's a black and white set, right? There's
exactly.
is it a
Right
monochrome? There. Elegant matte. Okay, that's not going to be my favorite. Soulful looks good.
Soulful's my favorite.
So yeah, Soulful's good. And Lighthouse and Low Key. These are all pretty good. These are all pretty nice. Let's go to Essence. Essence. The Essence collection from Luminar. Fashionista. I don't know what's going on there. Let's look at this. Flawless looks pretty good. But one of the things that's amazing here, I keeps going to my Zoom thing. I don't really want my Zoom thing is keeping me from getting to this. There we go. Stupid Zoom. Oh, it's back. You guys can't see this, but a big Zoom bar is appearing and is covering everything that I want to do. So that's just, it's not awesome. But we'll get there. So I was messing with some of the individual settings, and I don't remember where they are.
Yeah,
Is
so
it under edit?
Yeah, so you go up on top and edit.
Yeah. All right. So scroll all the way down to portrait. There's a lot of amazing stuff in here. And it doesn't look like it at first until you undo open eyes. Look at the eye stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Just the eye stuff. And the thing I would point to you out, it's already been applied, but is iris flare. The iris flare is something I've been doing to portraits, but you have to do it kind of really in Photoshop. And it was like a 7-step thing where you create a new layer and you draw a circle, and then you get another selection and you cut a moon shape out of the circle, and then you feather it, and then you change the blend mode to soft light.
So Scott, this is where I say, I've got a headache now.
Yeah, it is a headache, but this does it. The iris flare does the entire thing. I'm going to zoom into the eye so you can see. Look, all right, now in there, it's already got some stuff applied to it, so I probably should have just started from scratch. But the iris flare is right at the bottom half of the eye, which is where it should be. And I'm going to crank it up to 100 so you really see it. There it is. Do you see it?
Yep.
That's it. That's the iris flare. And that has been my secret for years. It's not, I didn't invent it, so I don't want to take credit for it. It's just been a secret that I've used for years to make eyes look like they sparkle. And I get a lot of comments of people like, wow, the eyes in your portraits are great. And I'm like, the secret is, well, I don't even call it iris flare. I called it an eye kicker. But iris flare sounds much more professional. So we'll go with that. But it is, see, look what it's doing under the iris. So here's 0. And it looks just, very dark. And then I'm going to crank it to 100, which is more than you would do. But look what it does for the eyes, right? It adds that brightening in a half circle kind of moon shape right under the eye. I mean, it's exactly what a high-end retoucher would do. In fact, I learned that trick from a retoucher years ago. And I don't do so much of the enlarging the eyes. And you have to be careful with eye whitening not to overdo it because it's very quick to make them look like aliens. You kind of have to do a little bit of that. And her eyebrows, they're spot on, so I don't have to do anything with those. She doesn't really have any dark circles under the eye. No red eye because, I'm not using a point and shoot. Sorry. The eye enhancer overall, though, is good, too. It's just, look at that, cranking it to 100. And I'm over-exaggerating these numbers so you can see it, and it's obviously and very clear. The slim face feature works really nicely because it's very natural. And the face light is nice because everybody wants their faces brighter. One of the finishing moves that I teach in my courses on Lightroom is at the very end of every photo, I go in and I brighten the face. I brighten it 1/3 of a stop. And this is essentially doing the same kind of thing, but see what it's doing? It's basically dropping a little bit of light, and it brightening that face does a lot of things. It does everything from, making it look your pores less, it smooths the face without blurring it. I mean, it does a lot of good things. Face light is very important. But if you just look and see, oh, there's just this, there's a lot more. You've got mouth controls for lips saturation, redness, And you can add more redness. I don't think I would. Lips darkening, I might. Teeth whitening, I don't really. Her teeth are they're kind of hidden in the shadow, so it's not a big deal. But there's just a lot more here than I was expecting. The skin stuff, we don't really need any of it here, except for the shine removal. I do think does a really, really good job. I think it's one of the best things in here is the shine removal, because getting hot spots and things like that, that shininess, you want to keep the highlight, but you don't want the sweaty parts. Now, she doesn't really have sweaty parts, but you can see we got a lot of highlights there. So you doing the shine removal, it just takes some of the heat off. It's almost kind of like the highlight slider in Lightroom. It is a little bit like that. You got high key effects that you can add. It might be a bit much for this one, but that's a very fashiony look to go with the very bright high key look. But anyway, there's a lot more here than meets the eye. So I know that it's supposed to do it all for you, but this is one area with portraits I think I would be more tend to go in and mess with things.
And what's really cool, Scott, with that is once you come up with a general way that you want, the AI is actually aware for things like different skin tones and ages. So when you dial in the settings, you may not have to change those settings when you switch from, say, a female portrait to an older portrait. Or if you've got a child and a mother in the same shot, you could use the same settings on both because it will apply it less intense on the child's skin, which is smoother.
See, I'm glad I tuned into this. More things I did not know. Now,
well, that's what any tool that has AI is supposed to be human aware, and our accent AI is also human aware. The sky replacement now has human aware lighting. So this is a big thing we're doing, and with update 3, we're celebrating update 2 today, that Bokeh AI is expected to release with the background blurring that's also human aware. So this is great. Scott, it's wonderful to see you. Our next guest is going to be coming up in just a second. Where can people go to find your blog, and where can they go to learn more from you? I know you have workshops and all sorts of great educational opportunities.
Yeah, so thank you, Rich. My blog, my daily blog is scottkelby.com. And I do want to mention that yesterday I did one of my most exciting, most beloved, and most trafficked blog posts of the year. I did my chicken sandwich war review of all the different chicken sandwiches that are in, like from Popeyes and Zaxby's and KFC and Burger King. And I went into some serious depth. I'm a chickenado, so I take this stuff very seriously. And I just... and
besides chicken, you do occasionally talk about photography too.
Mostly chicken, but occasionally. And like I said in my post yesterday, look, I know this isn't about Photoshop. It's not about photography. It's not about Lightroom, but many photographers do eat chicken. So anyway, if you get a chance, go to my blog and check out yesterday's post on the definitive and ultimate guide to the chicken wars. So that's my daily blog. You can catch me on Twitter at Scott Kelby, and everything I do, I basically run through Twitter, because my Facebook page is the stupidest name and I got to fix it. But my Facebook, I'm facebook.com/skelby. Because my regular name, Scott Kelby, is a personal one that I made for friends and family, and I never use it. And I can't get Facebook to swap the two. Like, can you just swap them? Because I don't use my other page, and they're like, you must use all your pages. But
well, I'm very glad to hear that Facebook also ignores the #1 publishing technology author on the planet, because they also ignore me and everyone else I know. So good to know they're not giving you special treatment.
They don't really need us, Rich. We're like gnats on a fly's butt. We're nothing. We're just
awesome.
We're just awesome. Nothing, but we have cool tools that are fun to use. So that's it. So anyway, those are those places. You can find me on Instagram, Scott Kelby, and LinkedIn, Scott Kelby, and just wherever Scott Kelbys are found.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott, for that. And we're going to go ahead and get our next guest queued up. I'm just going to share one quick resource before you kick it off, Finelli. There was a question about the coupon code. So you've heard us mention the Luminar X membership. This is an optional thing, but if you're interested in it, Luminar X gives you access to a Sky Pack each month, as well as a templates pack and some custom tutorials. When you click join now and anything else in the shopping cart, for the next 3 days, you can enter that promotional code. That code is Deep Dive. And all you got to do on anything in the shopping cart is enter Deep Dive and click apply. And it takes $10 off of every item in your shopping cart. So if you have 3 items in your shopping cart, it takes off $30. So that's very rare. We've never done a sale like this. We're so glad to have so many of you here, and that code will be good for the next 3 days, so you can check that out. I'm going to stop sharing my screen though and hand things back to Vanelli. And thank you again, Scott, for coming today. And
Thanks
Scott,
for
do you have
having me.
a road show? I know obviously we're not on the road, but I know you've been doing some conferences. When's your next conference coming up?
Next conference is coming up in May. It's called the Outdoor Photography Conference. It's 2 days, 2 tracks, and you can learn more about it at Kelby One Live. So Kelby ONE live.com, and all the details are there. An incredible team of instructors, and you get archived to watch the entire thing for a year after the live presentation. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott.
Well, thanks,
Well,
guys.
V, I'll toss back to you, and why don't you
Nice
introduce
seeing
our
you,
next
V.
guest? Thanks for coming, Scott.